Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how the iteration nodes in GraphN work. To create them, just hit space or tab and then type iteration. Now, unlike most nodes, you'll notice that this one actually creates two nodes, iteration object and iteration. You can think of it like this. Iteration itself takes a list of objects, and in our case we have a bunch of cubes here, so we can just select them and then middle mouse drag them to the GraphN canvas. And this basically means that we're gonna iterate through each cube and then run some logic on each one of them. Now, the logic itself needs this node over here to know that, okay, I'm currently running some logic on this cube or this one and so on. In this example, I wanted to create a color ID map assignment tool, and the idea is very simple. You get a cube, you create a material, you assign to it a random color, and then you move on to the next one. So, with that said, let's get into it. First of all, I have my objects here, and the next thing that I need to do is create my material. So I'm just gonna hit space and type create material. And this node basically creates a material and allows us to give it a material type. In this case, I'm fine with Blinn, and a name. So for the name, I wanted to give it a name like material ID _1, material ID _2, and so on, so that each object here has its own material, and that material has its own name with its own suffix. I'm just gonna hit space again and type values. I'm just gonna select its type and set it to string. And let's say we're gonna name our material prefix just material ID _. And the next question is, okay, how do we add _1, 2, 3, and so on for each object? Well, this is where this node becomes really handy. You see, we have an active index output here, and this output basically allows us to get those numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can already see a similar behavior in Maya, which starts at 1 and goes all the way here. So the first thing that you'll notice is this color here isn't the same as this one, because this is text or string and this is integer. So we can just convert them with the node convert value, and if we feed it right here, we will have our number. Now, to add these two together, all we need to do is just type add, and you'll see this node here with the name Arithmetic Operators. This node has a bunch of operations like add, subtract, divide, and so on. So we're just gonna set its output type to string because we want to have a name for our material. And we're just gonna connect the material first and then the suffix second. So I'm gonna select this node and hit Alt-Shift-A, which will automatically lay my nodes out. And then I can just hold Control and move them around. So I'll just rename this node add to make sure that I have a shorter node. Now, once I've created my material, the next thing that I want to do is give it a property, which is a random color. So I'm just gonna hit space again and type set material property. And this node takes a material, a property name. So if I create a Blinn in my scene here, you'll notice that we have a color property. So what we need to do basically is just type color here to ensure that we set the color property. The next thing I want to do is create a random color, and to do that I just type space again and type random color, and that'll give me this node create random color. I'm gonna feed it to the value input here, and these are basically my nodes. First of all, to create the name of the material for each object, to create the material itself, give it a random color, create a random color, and give it a random color. Finally, we want to set the material on our object, and this is the node that takes the material. Now, you may be wondering, okay, where do I connect it? And we have this node here that has active object. An active object gives us the current object we're working on. So if we were doing these operations, it would just be on this one, and then this one, and so on. The behavior is similar to how active index works. So here, the output of each object is just the name, and I'm just gonna hit space again and type selection from names. This node here will just be fed this active object, and it'll take the name of an object, it could be pcube1, pcube2, and so on, and create a selection out of it. We take the input, we feed it to the selection, and we give it to the logic input over here. Again, I'm just going to select it, Alt-Shift-A to organize my nodes a little bit. And now if I connect the iteration to the compute graph node and run my canvas, you'll notice that we have random colors. And if we look at the name over here, you'll see that it's material ID _6.